some black dude. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I am so sorry, I'm late, I was running from another location, but I am here because I want to introduce Sidebar. I never want to miss this show, and I hope you don't either. Thank you so much for joining us on the streaming-only version today. I was over at the studios of WOAI, and they're having a fundraiser for Alpha Louise, raising money for underprivileged children in San Antonio. So as always, I know you already know about it, sidebartv.com, that's where you go. And I know if you're streaming, then you already know about it. But remember, at sidebartv.com, that's where you can also become a contributor. So this week in the news, is there ever going to be a week that is quiet and nothing's happening? You think in the month of December that that's the way it's going to be, but it just hasn't been that way. So this week in the news, President Trump's push to redraw the congressional maps in Republicans' favor kind of hit a roadblock in Indiana. Also, it seems that Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, facing a pretty fiery House Homeland Security Committee hearing, big clash with the Dems, and the cost of living, groceries, housing, gas prices, they remain most high, not as high as they were, but they're still kind of high. People are complaining about it. But if that's the case, then why are President Trump's poll numbers climbing? So every week you come here, hopefully to hear what I hear, the lovely voices of the former Bexar County District Attorney Nico LaHood, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Norton Law Group. I don't know if it's still LaHood Norton Law Group.
Soon to be LaHood Norton Goss.
Okay, and then George Araujo scholar, former chemist and pharmaceutical researcher and director. So much, of course, going on in the news as usual. I don't even know where are we going to start.
So there's technically not an after show because this is the after show, right? Since there's no radio show. So we're going to talk about Erica Kirk also and conspiracy theorists to stop. So it'll all be jumbled together. I will start wherever you want to start. I mean, I'm glad we're still doing this. I know the radio portion, there's a good number of people that listen over the radio, but they're doing the Alpha Louise telethon. We tried to warn people last week, and so we still wanted to do the show. I think it's important people watch online, and hopefully people will jump on and figure it out or watch it later. But we can start wherever you wanted to. I know you wanted to start with the redistricting, or where. I don't really care.
Let's just do the. I don't want to say it's the lowest hanging fruit, but the biggest common denominator to me seems to be the polling numbers, because everyone, and I'm saying everyone, when it comes to the media, so many outlets are saying America is complaining because the prices are still high, gas is still high. But George sent a text was it last week, that said during the Black Friday shopping events that all numbers were shattered because people spent more money than they had spent even the prior year. And so even though news media says that there are complaints, and yes, the economy isn't what it used to be, people have money to spend for gifts, so doesn't that say anything?
Well, that doesn't mean they have money to spend. They could be charging it up. I mean, so that doesn't do anything to me. I mean, when I look at poll numbers, and I don't look at them like George does, and I care about results. I could care less. I don't want to hear what I want. I don't want people to tell me what I want to hear. I don't tell clients what they want to hear. I tell them the truth, and then we try to accomplish the goal that we're trying to accomplish for them. And I'm thinking about midterms. And look, the reality is Trump's numbers aren't great, I mean, that I've seen. I mean, definitely on immigration, they're not great. They've gone from 42. I read a poll, and I can get the poll number that I read the article from. 42 to 33% on immigration, which has caused the Homeland Security to change their policy on who they're going to collect. Now, when it comes to the economy, I think what George was referencing was when he's talking about the economy and affordability, his poll numbers have gone up from that. And it's very finicky. People's, feelings go up and down like roller coasters, and voters are interesting. But look, Mamdani, to take a book from him, he talked about affordability and he crushed it. But he actually learned from Trump, because Trump did it in 2020. What was Trump talking about? Affordability, you can't gas and everything else, and he was criticizing Biden. And that was one of the main reasons people trusted Trump on, was the border and the economy. And he's just not thriving, I don't think, from what I've seen in the economy. People don't feel it, I think, for sure. It's not horrible, don't get me wrong. It's not like, doom and gloom, but I mean, it's not what he claimed it was going to be, at least for now. We can talk about numbers, quote unquote, and poll numbers, but what I'm concerned about is overall, and I think it implicates immigration numbers and affordability and economy numbers, is the Republican brand, I think, has taken a hit. I do.
I hate to agree with you.
Well, I just do. I think the Republican brand has taken a hit, and I think it's unfortunate, because when you saw Trump win, I mean, look at the map that he won. It was all red. I mean, you didn't have to do anything crazy. I mean, he just talk to people about the ideas that the current Republican Party supports and was advocating for, and do it in a way that's compelling and logical and backed up by evidence. And then you convince people, you persuade people. And so when Trump talks about affordability, he did it back in 20. He was smart to do it. Mamdani learned, and it's all about, when you think about James Carville, what did that fool say? It's the economy, stupid. He was right. It's the economy, stupid. And so people know that. And so that's why I was so bothered. I know I'm throwing out there for just to kind of lay the groundwork, and then we can go wherever you guys want to go.
But even Vicky has commented online. She says it's going to take time to fix those problems.
Well, that maybe, Vicky. Yeah, but that sounds like an excuse. But I know it does. You have to think about the everyday voter. It's not about the reality, the people that understand reality. I mean, when Trump said, this is where I think he blundered a while back. And George, I don't remember when he said this. When they asked him about the economy, he said his performance on the economy is A, and he used 4 pluses. Not A plus, not just an A. A, and I know that's Trumpism, and I get it, but A plus, 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 really? On the economy, your performance is A plus, plus. I don't know if there's 5 pluses out there, like a 5-star general, or there's 2, or you made up a new category. That's just, shit.
No,
I mean,
it's so weird, because when I used to get like an evaluation during a regular job, I would always wonder why I was getting 4s instead of 5s, because I myself, my ego, I hope didn't have anything to do with it, but I felt like I was doing my very best. And I asked the boss, why do I always get 4s? And he said, well, then there's no room to grow. Like, there's no room for you to get better. And so when somebody says plus, 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 so you're thinking, well, then it can't get better if it's the plus, plus, plus.
Well, I'll pass it over to George. I guess the bottom line for me is the midterms matter. I mean, look, I believe in the ideas that the Republican Party stands for today as a whole. I mean, just as a whole. I mean, I'm a biblically minded man. I'm a Christ follower. I'm a quote unquote conservative, meaning that I want to preserve the ideals of the founding fathers in this country and this experiment called the constitutional republic. I believe in that. That's what I believe. I can defend it. I can talk about it. I'm not saying they're perfect. Nothing's perfect. Christ is the only person that was perfect and with perfect ideas, in my opinion. But with that being said, midterms are coming fast. And look, I mean, we've seen the election recently where a Trump-backed person didn't win in Florida. I mean, okay. I mean, I guess we can make excuses about it. We'll do whatever you want. But all I'm saying is the midterms are a big deal. So if we like what Trump is trying to do, whether he's accomplished it or not, and we can have a debate about that, it's going to come to a screeching halt if he doesn't win the midterms. And that's just the bottom line. And so that's why I think he's changing his tune, because he's not stupid. He might be arrogant, but he's not stupid, that he's seen his immigration numbers. People are, 33% from 42. I mean, look, it's just, his ideas are fine, but the way they're being implemented have bothered people. And so he's looking at affordability, he's looking at economy, minus what he thinks he's doing on economy. And I'm not being critical, I'm just being observatory. And he's looking at immigration, and I think he's going to start campaigning, which he should, but he's got other great surrogates out there. I don't know. I think part of it is what we talked about last week, Lord Trump and the RNC and the lack of leadership, and just kind of we're back just like drifting in the wind, and Republicans, without this, I mean, this last time was just really a great job by the RNC and just as a whole cohesiveness. Republicans were together and people understood and the ideas and the way they were presenting them. I'm just being an observer, and I think midterms are going to be challenging. I'm worried about it.
Yeah, I could just pack up and go home. You guys pretty much covered the topics. But I think you've identified the issues really, really well. I don't know that I would have said 4 pluses. I would have probably said 3 pluses, because then he would have been echoing what Scott Bessent said. No, he really does. But here's the problem: you can say it, but if people aren't connecting with it, then you're going to seem sort of aloof. Or just disconnected from reality. Right. You could be saying something that's 100% true, and if somebody can't connect with it, then you might as well be delusional in their view, and that's not really a good way to try to win the midterms, to come across delusional. And so I think that's part of the problem. I think there's a lack of unity in the Republican Party. I don't think that's arguable. I mean, it's arguable, I guess, but I'm not on the evidence. There just seems to be a lack of cohesion.
Yeah.
We've made huge strides, but we're just not quite there. Say what you want about the Democrats, you never wonder if they're cohesive on basic talking points, on the basic direction of the party. I mean, I don't think that you could criticize the Democrats for not being on the same page with regard to getting Trump. I mean, everything is trumped by getting Trump. I mean, they're on the same page. And even if they sort of disagree on the peripherals, man, they line up, and they line up quick when it's about getting Trump. You don't see that kind of unity with Republicans, and Nico's right. This is existential in nature. If Trump loses at least one of the houses of Congress, he is absolutely screwed. But I think in terms of the issues, the polls are showing that the polls are showing areas of concern. I don't think it's a doomsday scenario by any stretch of the imagination. It occurred to me to go back to 2013 and 2005 to see where Obama was at this exact stage. Trump's approval rating, according to Real Clear Politics, on average is around 43.8% right now. Obama at this time was 42.7%. So Trump's just 1.1 points higher, and Bush was around 1 point less than that. So now you could argue
on their second term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Second term and right at the state. So it's 2025 versus 2013 versus 2005. It's a 20-year spread. So it's not an insurmountable situation. Both of those managed to get a lot done in their agendas. But the point is, what are the implications for the midterms? The polls are saying that Trump came in real high on immigration, Nico, as you know, then took a deep hit.
Yeah.
When I think he just went in. They went intense, and all of a sudden, all you heard was ICE was everywhere, and people were being arrested. And now, remember, Trump said, everybody else talks about being the most transparent administration. We're actually going to be transparent, but be careful what you ask for. I mean, you had ICE doing their jobs, and there were cameras there. I mean, that's transparency. Now, it's the art of sausage making. It's ugly, but it has to be done. And I think people step back and say, wow, I never expected that to be the case, man. This looks like it's really hitting home. And so then the polls start showing that he takes a hit with regard to the immigration tactics. They seem really overly aggressive and almost abrasive. Is this even legal? And on and on and on. But those numbers have rebounded because people said, I thought you were just going to come in and go after the criminal element of illegals. And Trump said, yeah, we did. We're doing that, but we're walking and chewing gum at the same time. If we know that there are people who are illegal in the same vicinity, we're going to go after them too. And that's the part that I think people weren't ready for. But when you look at the numbers right now, they've spiked back up. I mean, overall, it's in the 79% range of approval when you consider Republicans and Democrats.
Where are you getting that from? 'Cause I mean,
the Harvard-Harris poll.
Everything that I read, it says that.
well, the Public Religion Research Institute, where's that? Because I mean, I read that article. I mean, it said they dropped from 42% to 33%. So I don't know how you go from 33% to 79%. That is old?
The data's old.
Okay.
I think so. I concede the fact that, when it first hit, Nico, people were like, holy crap, I wasn't really ready for this. I didn't realize this was going to be next door, and I didn't know you were going after Juan Pablo. He's my friend. Yeah. I've known him for 10 years.
Right.
And here's the rub. I was on the phone this morning. This is a big issue, but I think the administration, thank God to Tom Homan, he's out there all the time explaining. He goes on every network. God bless that guy. And he gets into the weeds. And he explains what's going on. What are their tactics? Why they're doing what they're doing? And I saw him ask a simple question. I think most Americans, I think, can relate. And I'd ask you the question. I mean, how can ICE come in, and considering there's tens and tens of millions of people here who are here illegally, How can ICE be in a position to literally adjudicate every single case-by-case situation of individual? How are they going to know that they're doing a sort of good faith effort now to try to work their way through the system legally? Let's say in the case of an individual I heard about this week who owns a roofing company in San Antonio, in Bernie area. He's been here 9 years. ICE showed up and arrested him. And now he's facing deportation about 10 days from now. And so he's in the system. He's working through the legal process to try to get legal, but he's illegal. And so ICE isn't bothering with those details. But the question is, you could sit back and say, well, they should. Well, the question is how. Remember, we don't have a robust immigrant or immigration.
So what are you making the
infrastructure.
case that's just the way it's going to be, and that's just too bad?
I think that there is collateral damage here. I do.
But here's
I heard of a situation this week where an entire roofing crew, and I'm in construction, Nico, you know that. So I hear a lot of these stories. There's a gentleman that I trust a lot who has done a lot of work for our company, and he runs a fantastic company, but maybe 80%, maybe 90% of his individuals are foreigners. And some of them are legal, but there's a bunch of them that are illegal but are working through the process. He's really been hit by this, and he told me a story just in Bernie this week. ICE showed up, and there was a roofing crew, an entire roofing crew that was arrested and hauled off.
But
I
aren't there programs?
I have a client that were a rancher who's dealing with the same thing. Here's the bottom line, and don't forget your thought, Karen, because here's if we like what he's doing overall, and he doesn't win in the midterms, and he doesn't, and then we don't win the presidency in 2 more years after that, all of this quote unquote
He's
great work, it's not more than it's going to be reversed.
Yes.
So you got to play the long game. So you, I'm not saying you particularly.
Yeah.
People can defend it all they want. It doesn't matter what I'm doing good. If it's not perceived good, then you're not going to win. So I just want to win.
But this is what it's going to take to win what we're doing here. But it's not enough for us. Who are we? I mean, Trump, and not just Homan, but this needs to be, I'm talking about a Rubio caliber communicator.
Rubio's.
Needs to be out there communicating what's going on here. This isn't about being inhumane. It's not about being insensitive.
But the problem is he didn't get the people's buy-in before. That's the problem. Because remember, he specifically campaigned on, well, hold on, don't get overreact. We're going to get the criminals first. So he said that technically, I told you first, but it's happening simultaneously. People aren't. Look, I'm not saying I disagree with what they're doing. I'm just, again, I want to win. It is if you're losing support and you're losing overall support on this, and it's being used against you, well, then we're not going to win ultimately. I don't want short-term gain for long-term pain. That doesn't benefit me as a citizen of this country and someone that wants my children and grandchildren to grow up in a country. I think illegal immigration. Look, I'm going to use Bill. I agree with Bill Clinton. I do, and I became a one-issue voter almost. I'm pretty damn close when it came to this last election. And so I am all for this. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying down the road, long term, it's not going to benefit us if we give it all back because they lose the presidency and they lose midterms.
But I should add that if he's going to lose the midterms, it's not going to be on this issue. The polling shows that he's doing really well on this issue. And they've addressed the criminal element. I was going to go back to your original point, both of you, that you said this affordability issue. If he's going to lose it, it's going to be on that issue. And I believe that there's time for him to shore up the issue. And both he and Vance now are, I think, starting a full court press, and they need to. And Susie Wiles has actually said he's going to hit the campaign trail starting effective immediately.
But more than just that, but it's not going to benefit anybody. We're not going to win if he says the economy is doing great. It's no different than Mayorgas saying there's nothing wrong with the border.
Right?
Yeah, or inflation. There's no inflation, or it's transitory, whatever. Hey, dipshit, I know what I feel. I know what my pocketbook says. Don't tell me that. Just because you tell me that it's good doesn't mean it's good. And that's what I was concerned about when Trump starts the A++. I was like, oh shit. How do you criticize Biden if you're doing something similar? I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but and this is all constructive. Again, we have to be able to constructively criticize and learn from it. And the thing that frustrates me is the quote unquote Republican conservatives that are, I get you support Trump. I support Trump too. Check, get it off. Okay, let's move on. But we got to win. And if we support Trump, then we need to encourage him, and not that he's going to listen to our stupid ass, but I mean, encourage him, and hopefully that he has good wisdom and counsel to think about the presentation, because it's all about the presentation.
No,
But who is it going to be in his cabinet that gives him that insight? Is it Susie Trump, Susie Wiles, or who is it that's going to tell him, people are still not connecting.
No, Vance, and people say, well, Trump and Vance are on different pages. I don't think they are. It's just different communication styles, and Trump's doing, he's busy doing other things. Trump, it's the best ever. That's sort of his thing. And he the reality is he's done a lot of things. Between Vance and Bessent, those things are being communicated. But Trump's not your guy to get into the weeds on this. It's a Vance and it's a Bessent. Bessent is constantly out there.
But people have to feel it. They gotta feel it, and because Bessent can be the best communicator in the world. Vance selfishly is probably thinking, like, "Hey, man, I'm up next. We need to get this shit on the road."
Here's the problem: they're great communicators, but they're not magicians. People are not going to. It's physically impossible for people to feel things during a transition stage. We were just talking about how illegal immigration and the economy, as one worsens, the other one tends to worsen as well. Well, as one gets better, the other one gets better as well. But the transition stage, both get worse. So meaning when people realize, holy crap, these guys really are serious about deportations.
Yeah.
Right. That feels painful in the beginning because it's now hitting home. That's how it is with the economy as well. Keep in mind that as you pull millions of people out of your economy, because these people are in the economy. Now, they're obviously deflating the price of labor. I mean, they're working for practically free by American standards. When you pull millions of people out of your system, you don't think that's going to affect your unemployment numbers? So there is a temporary hit from that.
Thought of that.
There is also, Nico, a huge change in the very structure of the economy right now. The stock market is doing exceedingly well. The Nasdaq's through the roof. Why? And it's almost all AI. Now, if I would argue if there's a bubble, it's probably on the AI end. We don't know how well this is going to do for us to do mass investment in bots, but companies are changing. There are jobs that are no longer being done by human beings. So not only are you pulling people out of the economy, there's also jobs that are no longer valid. That's all happening right now. And it's done as a result of the changes that Trump are making, that the voters voted for. There has to be a communication strategy during this transition period so that people can track what's going on at home with policy from Washington. And that's what's missing right now. There just hasn't been enough glue between them. And you're right. And people are stuck in the feeling because that's all they have. It's not a dig. And the other part is also just our culture's wired. I mean, we want changes yesterday. We're used to that.
That is
and that's kind of that's an American motif. We figured this was going to happen today. Trump said he's repatriated almost trillions of dollars back into the economy. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
So you've got investment back into the United States, investment in infrastructure and manufacturing plants and so forth. That doesn't happen in 10 days. That takes time, and then you got to fill them with new jobs and new bodies.
That's part of my point. None of that's going to come to fruition. We're not going to realize that if we don't keep control at midterms and then next presidency and things of that nature. You need time for these things to develop.
Right,
So.
and that hasn't been communicated.
That's one
the
comment
problem.
that I wanted to read to you. Northwest San Antonio precinct says Trump's not the issue. The House is passing bills, but it's the Senate Republicans that are wasting time. And then Randy says, where would we be today if the Democrats had won the election? The public needs to know that inflation would still be at 10%.
But people forget. I'm telling you, you look. You either know your audience or you don't. And
I think that's right.
They're right. You got to know your audience. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters what the perceived truth is to your audience. And I do this a lot when I'm in trials, and you have to think about that. So that's the non-factor. The objective evidence, and there's a subjective feeling and the perception of that evidence. And so that objective communicated, properly to the subjective hearer will produce voting that's going to keep you in power. And look, we need to be in power long enough for these ideas to take hold and get fruition, but they got to communicate it better. And Trump needs to. I'm glad he's changing course. I hope he does. I don't like to see that we were the most cohesive after the election. Republicans were.
True.
And that's he's lost that kind of honeymoon is over. And and he's got to, hopefully he can course correct. I mean, maybe he can, but midterms are coming fast. So
we need many more mini Bessents out there explaining the three, what he calls it, sort of the three-legged stool of Trump's policy, which is trade and regulations and taxes. So we've checked off the taxes, the idea of continuing to leave money in the average American's pocket. That's a good idea. The one big, beautiful bill should be explained for the benefits that it brought in that regard. Trade regulations, are you kidding me? They've gone after the Code of Federal Regulations, taken thousands of pages of regulations out for every one that you introduce, you pull back 2 regulations, taking the foothold off the American corporate infrastructure. That's useful to explain that. Nico, that doesn't happen in 2 weeks. I mean, when you change regulations, the culture or the corporate culture has to adapt to that. Who's explaining that?
But you don't have to worry about telling me that. You don't have to worry about telling many of the people in the audience that. It's the mass people that are
I know I'm
so
preaching to
busy.
the converted here, but get out there and talk about these things.
Well, you have to.
We are flush with cash right now. From a conservative movement, we are flush with cash. What are we doing with that? That should be invested heavily.
Well, that's why I feel that when he's
communication
promising this $2,000 check or whatever it is from the tariff, that's just kind of that's
about that myself.
Well, no, but I think that's a move. I looked at it's a move to say, look, people are going to oh shit, I got $2,000 from Trump. That's great. I mean, I like these tariffs, I guess. Look, it sounds
It's
a little
an instant
bit.
attention getter.
But
Well,
if they
yeah.
continue to
$2,000?
talk about it and don't do it, that's going to be a real
Oh yeah, I
problem.
think he's waiting the timing. He's not stupid. I mean, he's waiting for the timing. He's going to do it closer to the midterms, I think.
And he can use it as a great sort of talking point and promo for his tariffs. I mean, because that's the reason. I mean, when you're bringing in to the tune of what $300 billion in a fiscal year in additional
But if people
monies from
don't
tariffs,
feel it, it doesn't matter. If the deficit doesn't go down, it doesn't matter. See, so it's wonderful you can say it. It's wonderful that it can happen. But where is it going? I mean, the deficit keeps going up, or it's not going down, and we don't feel it in the economy. So who gives a shit? You know, that's what I would. You know, the average person I think is thinking.
The whole immigration thing, I'm going back a little on this topic because what you said earlier about a San Antonio man that owned a roofing company, I got your 2 stories mixed up. But the bottom line is, in my mind, the first thought that comes into my mind is how long has he been here that he was able to establish a successful roofing company, and why did he never do anything about it to become legal? And isn't there a program where the workers he had could have been working legally? I mean, I know a farmer, and every year he has these people, you know, getting all of his onions out of his field, but they're not citizens, but they're all legally working.
Yeah.
So what gives?
Nico knows I texted him 2 weeks ago. In fact, my response, we have a cleaning crew that's just a stellar cleaning, one of several that works for the company. And it's conceivable that a lot of them, the owners are legal, but they have workers that are illegal and working through the process at least. And I trust them; they've worked for us for a long time, so I know what they're saying is true. And that's where I got this story. And I texted Nico a couple of weeks, and I go, you know, this woman who runs our cleaning crew came to us in tears. She came to us in tears. My wife and I are sitting there, and she's explaining what's going on. And she's this is her fiance. And he's been in the country for 9 years. He does have a successful roofing company. He is trying to work through the legal process, but it's new. He just started doing that. And I think when he realized that there was a particular seriousness now about enforcing immigration law, he got in the system. So kudos to that. I don't want to downplay that in any way. But him not moving forward earlier on this is a legitimate question. But it's not about blaming him. It's actually an indictment on how the United States has done immigration. No one's given a shit. That's the problem. No one's cared. And certainly not the federal government. They've aided and abetted the problem. So now you have ICE charged with some really dirty work. And there's a lot of people who, if you had the time and had this been done proactively, you could conceivably say, oh yeah, they'd never be deported. These are people who should be given preference and some deference because they are actively trying to work through the system. But the problem is that things are so grave and so significant. It's not just crime, but it's also an economic burden on the country.
Absolutely.
But Nico, it's also a huge political problem, a huge American culture problem, because the reality is you don't have assimilation into the country. You don't.
But let's just say this. That is 100% true. And you know I've been advocating that for a long time. But there's certain cultures that are more problematic than others. And that's a reality, whether people like it or not. You have more of a Latino culture that kind of fits in more in certain areas and
Yes,
in pockets
yes.
of the United States. And I promise you that's objective. I'm not biased because I'm half Mexican. I'm not, and my my wife is from Mexico. I'm not saying it that. I'm just being honest. People understand the
That is
Mexican
fact.
culture. San Antonio, the Valley, Texas, New Mexico, certain areas that the Mexican culture, the
It's
Latino
easier to
culture.
assimilate.
But it has been because of the traditional values. Because
Yes.
the Mexican culture and the values of a Mexican Hispanic culture are very consistent, just like the black culture. It's very consistent with American values. They're the traditional family values overall. But when you bring in an Islamic culture, that does not consistent with a constitutional republic. It is not consistent with American values. That is a fact. You can call me names because I've been called names over the years when I've advocated this because I educated myself because I had to deal with this when I was DA with Sharia courts and this. And hey, by the way, I have the card to say this because I'm half Lebanese, so that gives me the criticism. That gives me the permission to criticize Middle Eastern culture because in Middle East you're either Islamic or you're Christian, and there's very little Christian now. My grandfather, we could say Jiddo in Arabic. My grandfather came over from Lebanon, and he was Maronite Catholic. So there was that influence. So you were either Islamic. My roots are not in Islamic roots. If they were, I would say it. But it's Maronite Catholic roots. But we talked about Syria used to be Christian. Egypt, Jordan. I mean, these were all Christian nations over there, and they're not anymore because of the Islamic takeover and the lack of assimilation, and yes, to say it, the forceful takeover of cultures. And it happens in the UK. UK's screwed unless they have some type of revolt, and it's happening here. And so people need to wake the hell up. And it's just it's not conducive. It's not. Now anybody that is, it's because they're not being militant. They're not being militant about applying that culture and that religious ideology to the here because of something called the Constitution. But if you study a purely Islamic culture in Yemen, Saudi Arabia, wherever you want to look at it, versus maybe more of an Americanized one, there's stuff left on the table purposely.
I think that summarizes well where people are coming on this. I mean, Texas kind of unique in that way, where I mean, there's been a wonderful symbiosis between Native Americans, and I don't mean American Indians. I mean natively born Americans. And the Mexican culture. I mean, it's been a wonderful relationship. I realize there have been conflicts in the past. Don't get into those right now. But overall, You've got a wonderful symbiotic relationship right between Mexicans and Texans. So I think people would concede that. I mean, there are cultures that just work. They just work. I mean, the value system is the same. The moral framework is the same. And so, that's how. But it doesn't help
because there's ethnicity, the ethnic traditions of the Mexican culture. And again, maybe there's a little bias there, but I don't think so. No. It's beautiful. I mean, I love my Mexican roots. I love my Lebanese roots. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of both of them. But I'm an American first. Over all of that, I'm an American first. I'm an American of Lebanese Mexican descent. I'm not a Mexican American. I'm not a Lebanese American.
And I learned that when I came to Texas from the Northeast. When I saw the light, and I came to Texas, and I realized, man, there's a lot of third and fourth generation Mexican families here, and they would say that I'm an American first, and then my ethnic identification second. But I want to add that it doesn't help. It doesn't help. This is why the numbers were so high. The numbers on Harvard Harris said that for deporting illegal aliens, it was like 80%. It's like 90% for Republicans. It was like 79% for the general population.
Where? From what?
The Harvard Harris poll in terms of the views of voters on illegal immigration. It's particularly high for deporting illegal alien criminals.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
That number drops to about 55% when it's just everybody.
Really? Then why it says that? Where's this poll that says it's down in the 30s?
I know. Again, you're citing a number that were a legitimate concern in the April, May, June timeframe. I'm in October now and November.
Okay.
It's rebounded because people can see that there is a good faith effort to round up illegal aliens. And in fact, people realize, what are they to do? I mean, are we truly going to adjudicate every single individual? No one's going to get deported. That's what's going to happen here. And immigration law isn't set up to do that. And so I think people can understand ICE has kind of a shitty job to do. And it's like, what's the alternative? And we're talking about millions and millions and millions of people here, and it's changing the character of the country. Now, you might say a lot of them are Mexican or from cultures that are compatible with the United States. It doesn't help that during the LA riots, where these people are burning property,
Yeah.
and inflicting physical harm on ICE agents. It doesn't help. While fires and people are standing on top
There's
of cars,
Mexican flag.
putting the Mexican flag, that doesn't help. It doesn't help when Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, says, sort of advocates that and speaks on behalf of people who are rioting
But that's not
in LA. That doesn't
That's
help.
not the majority of people. Those are anarchists. You know that. And me, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if that person is from Mexico. I mean, the people want dissension. You want division. And when you're covering your face, holding a Mexican flag, I don't know who the hell you are. You could be from Saudi. I don't know where you're Iranian, for all I know, or who knows. All I'm saying is you're right. That doesn't help, but that hasn't been the tradition. That has not been what we've been dealing with overall. I mean, I know, and again, I know tremendous, like you have, Mexican families that have come over here, illegally maybe years ago, and now they're part of the system. And that's not who the American people was. I hope ICE gets them. Now, doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences. Doesn't mean they shouldn't be held accountable. But when we do an overall analysis, when we take a totality of the circumstances, are they adding to this country? Do we do some back taxes? Do we hold them accountable? Do we put them on probation? Or do we yank them versus the Venezuelan and the Saudi and the terrorist and everybody else over here that's going to do harm and that are anarchists and trying to disrupt this culture? I don't know. Everyone can have an opinion of that. I know what my opinion is, and I make a distinction between those two, still holding them accountable, but maybe not yanking those folks up. And I think that's where people are in general overall.
Yeah, I think that's right. The 55% is a mass deportation favorability number. So by definition, mass deportations, anybody who's here
Anybody, yeah.
legally,
I get it.
Isn't that
but
sad,
giving
though?
precedent to people who are criminal.
Isn't it sad? Or sad isn't even the word that I want to use, but isn't it incredible that no program before today was ever established for those people that came, assimilated, had a business, their kids went to college? Why was there never any sort of rule?
There was no border. I mean, really, there was no border. You got people bleeding across the border. Why should I take an initiative right now? I mean, if I've got a business and I'm paying into the system and I'm a law-abiding person, right, with the exception that I'm here illegally, I mean, I am infinitely preferred or infinitely in better standing or much more significant contributor to the economy or to the American way of life than the guy who just came across the border and is bleeding the system dry. And so nobody else is following the law. The federal government doesn't give a crap. In fact, the federal government's encouraging people to break the law, so there's no incentive. And this has been going on for years, years, and it precedes Trump. It's been going on for decades. With all respect.
Yeah.
And so now Trump has really sort of the thankless job to shore this up. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think this is going to hurt Trump. I think this is one of those issues where he is being helped. It's going to come back to the affordability issue right now. And when he says that affordability is a hoax, that was an unfortunate way to say something. This affordability is not a hoax. What the Democrats are trying to do with the affordability soundbite is a hoax. That is a hoax because they're the ones that created this crap. They're the ones that created a situation where in the aftermath of Trump taking office, you've got an average of 22% in price increases across the board. And you have free money floating around the economy. You got inflation that's through the roof. Remember, when Joe Biden inherited the economy from Trump, it was a 1.4% inflation rate. It went up to 8 to 9%. And then it's been in the 4 to 5%, and it's been slowly coming down. And so that's just the reality of it. Trump inherited a mess, but at some point he's got to stop pointing to Biden.
Yeah, that's
the issue.
Yeah, at some
And
point
so
it gets
are we
old.
at that point?
Yeah.
I think we are. I think you got to look forward now. You can't continue to blame
Is there ever
Biden.
a time when we're out of the honeymoon period for Trump? Because in any other circumstance, it would feel like he would still be in the honeymoon period because it hasn't even been a year yet. But for some reason with Trump, it seems like we want it right now.
Well, it depends.
We want it right now.
It depends who you're talking about. Look, I mean, there was a period of time where people were doing the Trump dance in NFL football games, where he's walking into UFC and he's getting roaring standing ovations. We'd go to a football game and people start chanting. So Trump created that, and the Republican support and everybody because his ideas, it was such a shit show with Biden. Build Back Better wasn't anything, and then he was a fraud and all that crap. And that was the time to capitalize and expand the brand, bring people in, let them, but you got to, at some point, At some point, pain is a good motivator. The pain that you're walking away from, you've got to replace it with something. And I'm not saying he hasn't, by the way, but it's got to be perceived and felt. And it's about the border and the economy are the two things. I mean, safety, of course. I think that's the trifecta. Border, economy, safety, meaning crime and all that other stuff, which kind of trickles into the border issue. But I mean, I don't know. To George's point, he still has some time, but he's got to get the Republicans have got to get back on track. I like a healthy division, by the way.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
I don't mind pushback. I like the states. I know we're going to talk about redistricting. I like states pushing back on federal government. Again, I'm not for the apparatus of the federal government just because the person I want is in office. Because I'm worried about the apparatus. I want a system that will sustain someone bad in office that I don't support. And that's what the problem is. The problem is we have a political system now that completely overhauls depending on who's in charge. And we've lost that pushback. And so, yes, the Democrats seem to stay together, but I don't mind a healthy pushback. I use my example of my brother pushing back on no names, high name Republicans in our state.
Are we pivoting to Indiana right now? Because I think what happened in Indiana is not a LaHood type pushback.
Well, I don't know. I'm using an example. I have no idea. You can educate us on that. I'm just saying I like a healthy pushback. Yeah. I don't want it. If I was in office and Trump said, I want you to do this, and I didn't agree with it, I ain't doing shit. I'm not doing it because Trump said it. Trump doesn't walk on water. Nobody does. Christ did. And I don't walk on water. You don't walk. My parents don't. My kids, nobody walks on water. And so if Trump's right about something, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to process it. I'm going to do something called critical thinking. And I'm going to apply my principles and what I think is appropriate, and then I'm going to follow it or not.
Yeah, but notice how he defined that, and that's right. When the party in power deviates from the principles that it got elected on, and state Republicans push back to say you guys are deviating from conservative principles, that's a legitimate fight. You hold those individuals accountable for deviating from the principles that got them elected to begin with, and that's what when we talk about Mark. In state government, that's what he's doing. He thinks that it's a principled, centered pushback. Fair enough, and people should get behind him for that kind of thing. True enough, but the Indiana thing, I think, is a complete disaster, and it wasn't that.
In what way? Because I mean, it's back to this redistricting, right. And the gerrymandering issue that we talked about in the past, and then Trump threatened to primary people that didn't do what he wanted to do. I don't like that move. I just don't. That's bullying to me. I mean, it appears.
I don't think so. I think he should do more of it.
Okay, fair enough. It didn't work out for him, so I guess that sucks. I mean, it didn't work out for him.
Well, it didn't work out. It didn't work out for him.
Okay, so then don't do more of it. I want to win. I mean, how is this winning? I get frustrated because he didn't need to redraw shit. When he won in 2020, he won with the way things are now. Look at that map. That to me, that was the art of persuasion through pain because Biden sucked. And with good ideas, because we had some recollection of Trump 1.0, and we're like, man, he wasn't as bad as people said. These some bitches lied to me, and I want that back. And then you had Trump's style and going on all the strategies we've talked about in the past, and that map was impressive. It was unbelievable, and that's the key to me. You produce, you make promises, you fulfill those promises, people feel those promises, and then you keep winning. That's it. I mean, that's my humble opinion.
Okay, but I'm not saying an or strategy. I'm saying an and strategy. You don't stop doing those things, but you also don't do what else is available to you because it's legal. There's nothing inappropriate about gerrymandering. It's completely legal.
I got it.
Now, I agree with you. I mean, I don't like the wild swings either, but those are changes that need to happen over time. You don't make those changes overnight. And so that's the law of the land, and the Democrats have been doing that very successfully. And Trump just recently came to this game 2 or 3 months ago when he pushed on Texas to do it. And I'm glad they did because that's the law of the land and it should be done.
Yeah, but threatening primarying people, I mean, you think you should do more of that? I mean, how's that? I mean,
well, no, actually, I think this has been something. This is part of the game. It's also legal and appropriate, and it's something Republicans haven't done very well. And we've struggled with that here in the state of Texas, where look. Mark LaHood being in state government right now is a welcomed shift from where we've been in the past, where the House of Representatives was running roughshod over the will of the voters. In other words, you couldn't see a conservative bill that wasn't popular with Democrats ever get out of appropriations because the Democrats and Republicans were coming together to blow them off. That's what's been happening in Indiana. That same issue is happening in Indiana. So you've got there's 50 senators, you've got 40 of them the Republicans, and the vast majority of them are Republicans that, this isn't new with Trump, that have been blowing off bills that are distinctly conservative because they're not popular with the inertia. And that's not right, the political inertia of the state. And so it just happened.
But how do you know they're not popular with their constituents?
They are popular with their
They
constituents.
are. They're saying the ones that they're not supporting.
That's right. So
then
that's
why
why
don't
they're-
the constituents vote their asses out?
That's right. So that's what this is about. This is about because voters do what they do. Voters vote. They go down straight line ticket, which you've argued against. Oh, it's Republican. It's an R. It's an R. It's an R. And they're not really thinking about whether these individuals are getting in office and following through. They're picking their poisons. And what Trump is saying is we're going to primary their ass. We're actually going to get candidates in there who are actually going to do the right thing by the voters. Because you just said it yourself. If Trump loses, tell me how this is going to help. How in the world is this going to help Indiana voters? It isn't going to help Indiana voters. It's the whole state and every other state is going to be up in flames in terms of the advancement of a conservative movement in the United States. So Trump is saying these aren't actual conservatives. It's not a principled fight. They didn't offer a principled argument. They just said, fuck off. That's not a principled argument. And so now what? Trump's saying, fine, then fuck you. Then I'm going to primary your ass.
But if he doesn't win the PR war, it doesn't matter. Whether he's right or
there's
wrong.
no. I mean,
if he doesn't
to my
win
knowledge, maybe you can educate me. I don't know if there's any evidence that he's losing a PR war with this redistricting.
Any headline that says there's pushback and buck back over Trump, and it makes it look like he's losing his influence. I'm just saying, perception. I don't think it's great. Look, I'm happy to be wrong as long as we win. Winning means ideas that I think will bless my children, your children, and my children's children. I love the idea of this country. Love it. I think the conservative ideology will bless the everybody. I do. Even people that disagree with us and Alamo Talk and all the Mark Antoines and all the people that are left-leaning or whatever, are just antithetical to anything that mentions conservative. I don't think they're logically playing it out. They haven't really felt the implementation of their ideas.
On a smaller scale, this is what Greg Abbott did. It's the
In what
wave that
sense?
brought Mark in. On a smaller scale, this is what Greg Abbott did.
But that's what a governor should do, not a president.
Well,
in my opinion.
A president's exercising his First Amendment right.
Are
He's
these
the head of the party.
Are these state people or federal?
This is a state. This is the state legislature.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind the governor of that state bringing in the president. I don't like. I don't like big government. I just don't. I don't want big government because you replace Trump with AOC or Mamdani or Newsom, and we're not having the same talk. Well, that's all I'm saying. That's my own point.
When Trump says he's going to primary their ass, it doesn't literally mean that. He's not the one that's actually doing that. Turning Point Action, Heritage Action, Club for Growth. There's a lot of PAC money, and they were already issuing those warnings before the fact. Trump is just sort of on that bandwagon, but he's not the guy that's actually going to be doing it himself.
Brother. But he's getting the credit for it, unfortunately.
Well, true enough, but I don't think there's anything wrong, and I think the voters got fed up with Trump getting elected and Republicans in various enclaves who weren't on board doing their own thing and basically doing the bidding of the Democrats. In fact, Republican voters are fed up with that shit. They want Republicans to get in there and on principle, line up on principle. There's nothing wrong with lining up on the principle train.
No, I love it.
This wasn't a principle stance in my view. Where's the principle? Where's the what was Trump asking for that was so unprincipled? He's simply saying, look, all those things that you said, keep communicating, keep wooing the voters on the ideas. But redistricting is just another fail-safe just in case, because we can't afford to lose.
Look, I don't have a problem with the redistricting because the Democrats have done it way more than Republicans.
Well.
So piss on you if you don't like that. Sorry, man. I'm not worried about that. I care about the presentation because if you lose your support in the pursuit of trying to do what other side's doing legally, as long as it's ethical and legal and it's appropriate. You don't like it, change the rules. Vote, everybody vote and change the damn rules. If the rules of engagement is you can do this, then it's allowed for both sides. So enough with the faux anger and the righteousness and the threat to democracy. You didn't think that when the Democrats are doing it. So, man, I'm going to call bullshit on you on that deal. Again, it all comes down to does it move the needle for us? And if it doesn't, ultimately, then we're having this conversation. We're like, we made a good point. It doesn't matter because we lost. It doesn't matter to me.
Isn't that what Kristi Noem just said during her hearing? Isn't that what Kristi Noem said? She said, well, if you don't like the way things are going, why don't you change the law? That's your job.
Yeah.
Hey, look, these congressional hearings, good transition. These congressional hearings irritate the shit out of me. Because, I mean, all you do is you subpoena people. They become a joke. You yell at each other for a soundbite. I'm going to get my soundbite. I don't have great name ID. It will after that because I'm going to tell someone to fuck off during a congressional hearing. Okay, tough guy. And you know, and then everybody makes it, and she defended herself. These are a joke. I don't understand why we do them. There's no account.
This wasn't, to my knowledge, a subpoena. It was a routine
Whatever. Piss on all of them. This irritates. She's defending legal.
This was meant by the framers to actually provide, and to your point, to elucidate the issues. This was actually supposed to communicate our national security strategy, domestic and foreign, and let's actually talk through what we're talking about and engage. Right. That's what this was meant to be.
But can you see? Right. You can't see the difference. Right. You can't see the difference between these investigations and these subpoenas and something that is constitutionally supported. I agree. I wouldn't mind. Is like, give us your report, Secretary Noem. Give us your report. What about this? What about this? Interesting. Okay, well then why can't we do it professionally? But and everyone's got, now you take this wonderful checks and balance and this information session, so to speak, from what you're telling me, and it looks just like these investigations where people get subpoenaed, and I can't tell the damn difference.
Exactly right. No, and I'm really, this is kind of an artifact of the 24/7 news cycle digital culture, is that they know that they're creating sound bites, and both sides do.
Of course, yes.
And it becomes, I mean, you're right. And it's like, we don't really get into policy. We don't argue on the basis of the soundness or lack thereof of a policy. Now it's about scoring points politically, and then you lose the value. Look, I have to say what you want about Botox treatments, but Kristi Noem, I mean, she
got 2-for-1 special, brother. She got the 2-for-1.
You know, even as I said that, I knew I was throwing red meat into the water here. I was like, I knew this is dangerous territory. I know the hood's going to go off. But look, she came in, and I watched the whole thing. And she came in, and she said, here's what we're doing. Yeah. And she was sitting there next to the National Terrorism Center, Counterterrorism Center Director Joel Kent. Did the same thing. There was a deputy director from the FBI. They did the same thing. Here's what we're doing, and here's why. And then the bullshit started. And it's like, why can't you just look? If I said something that was questionable, it seemed a little vague, like Nico said, do a follow-up and say, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Or, hey, we're reading this from the New York Times or the Washington Post or even Fox News or whoever's sitting there. But whatever, these don't seem to match. I'm trying to understand, how do I reconcile the two? Have a meaningful conversation. It wasn't like that. It was about a gotcha moment.
That's it. Now, I wasn't ragging on her, by the way. She's just reporting. I like her.
I didn't want to tease you to get in the... You know, because he's like, I don't know, her face is changing.
I noticed that a long time ago, but go ahead.
I don't know, George, I'm telling you, her face, I swear her face is changing.
Well, people don't, a lot of women don't know that the more you do it, the more puppet-like you look, and it's just not a good...
The best commercial was when Joan Rivers said, am I smiling? Am I smiling? That chick was funny. Go ahead. Sorry, George.
Too many.
Back to
Yeah, she's a loss. She was really funny.
Gosh, she was funny.
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Talk about being politically incorrect, Joan Rivers. Oh, my
I loved her.
I loved her.
I loved her.
I just think that it was an important meeting, given everything that's going on. We were just talking about immigration. It was a meeting that got into the weeds, and she was prepared at the Venezuelan tanker. And the reality, this isn't all that controversial. You know, the double taps. Obama did a lot of double taps, not triple taps. In fact, he was the king of double taps and triple taps. Nobody knows about that. I mean,
you gotta explain what that is, not because double tap to combat to tactics mean you shoot twice.
So a double tap in a military operation or a law enforcement operation like we've seen is you degrade the target, and then you do a follow up to kill everybody else or to kill everybody any survivors, because the gravity of the situation demands such. And all I'm proposing is on evidence, because you can look this up. I mean, the Obama administration was
way more.
Yeah, I mean, the New York Times...
Way more fatalities.
Please.
Hundreds versus...
Hundreds, truly hundreds. And it's not just off the coast of the United States, Nico. It's Pakistan and Yemen and Afghanistan and Somalia. I mean, this was standard operating procedure. I don't remember Barack Obama being accused of war crimes at the time. I quite distinctly don't remember
because they were using drones, not people.
Yeah, so I mean, so she's getting in the weeds and talking about why we need to do this, why the Venezuelan, seizing a Venezuelan tanker, yes, is an escalation, but it's warranted. This is an illicit oil exporting venture here, where you have oil being remember, there's sanctions on Venezuela, oil that's being illegally transported to China. That's not acceptable. So they seized the oil and they're keeping the oil. That's totally acceptable. You know, the media doesn't explain that there was a U.S. warrant by a magistrate judge to sign off on that as a legitimate law enforcement operation. I don't see the legacy media talking about that. It's an opportunity, Nico, to get into the weeds and talk about here's what we're doing, here's how we're doing it, and they turned it into a circus. It turned it into a gotcha moment because Benny Johnson, the representative from Mississippi, I mean, she's totally insufferable. Says this unfortunate accident, and she goes, "I'm sorry, you're calling the assassination of National Guardsmen in Washington D.C. an unfortunate accident? There was a terror attack. They shot our guardsmen in the head. Good for her. It's not an unfortunate situation. Really, an unfortunate situation? It was a terror attack." And that's when they got into the Afghanis and the Bidens' lack of vetting. And I thought it was effective. You got to push back on things like that. So I'm asking you actually rhetorically, what do you do when you see these sound bites being crafted and you're totally misrepresenting something and downplaying something so he can turn this into a gotcha moment? What do you do? Is it not appropriate to push back and say, what you're saying is unacceptable?
Absolutely. That's why I'm criticizing both sides for doing it. I'm not saying that it was her fault on this one or Republicans. I mean, obviously the Democrats initiated this one, but the Republicans have done it in the past as well. You know that. And all I'm saying is I wish that these hearings would go back to the purpose of the hearing. Just inform, ask questions. This is not a trial. This is a question. You're planting seeds. You can follow up, and then you can do your investigation. Trust me, you'll subpoena everybody and their mother. I mean, I want people to be effective. I'm tired of people doing shit just to do it, or for the looks, or the clicks, or whatever. I mean, that's just. And we'll talk about Candace here in a second. But I mean, this is my point. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, how does that benefit the country? Just tell me how this benefits the country. I like pushback. Trust me, I do it often, and sometimes it needs to be heated. All I'm saying is we've gotten to a point where these hearings, and I'm not saying this was one, you're saying this was a constitutionally supported kind of check-in or whatever.
Routine oversight meetings.
But what this is the standard, as I'm saying. This time it was the Democrats maybe that made this a shit show. But then next time it'll be whatever, and next time it'll be whatever. And how is this beneficial? And then we're going to turn into the Philippines, where people are going to start coming over chairs and punching each other, wherever these other countries where they're actually physically fighting in these congressional hearings or whatever they're doing.
I would like, and it's an honest question, people who are listening, maybe you know, of an other side. We saw a lot of clashes during the Biden. I mean, Mayorkas would go before committees. What Mayorkas was doing was actually illegal. And so you can see why he was being contested the way he was being contested. I mean, blowing off saying, we don't have a problem at the border. Yeah, we really are doing illegal immigration enforcement. Really? To the tune of 200,000 to 300,000 people coming across the border every month. Where's there any enforcement? You got people that are being flown in on jets in the cover of night and dropped off in the American interior. How's that legal? So he was being pushed back on, and so yeah, you got a lot of sound bites.
Yeah, I think they're fine. Crawley's fine. I like the way Kennedy does it. I mean, I think the Republicans are more appropriate. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I'm not going to rag on Taylor Greene while she's leaving, but you know, she's a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, so she does her style. All I'm saying is it's more prevalent on the Democrat side, without a doubt, no doubt about it, where they want to yell and cuss and act, and you just get this soundbite.
And so that was my worry, that people would look at Kristi Noem, what's going on in Homeland Security, and assume something illegal or inappropriate is going on. The gotcha moment here was where he kept saying, well, who approved the asylum application? Who approved the asylum? And she's basically saying, look, he was vetted by the Biden administration. Okay, he was in the American interior. Okay, he had already applied for asylum. The vetting had been done. And by the time he got approved, yes, during the Trump administration, all the work that was required to justify him coming into the country was done. So it was just a rubber stamp at that point, because there was nothing else to do under the law. So she tries to provide context on this, and he actually says, I don't want to have to bring you up on perjury charges. For what? I'm trying to provide context to what happened here, and I'm not just going to let you dilute this down to a soundbite. And that's when Joe Kent, I like that guy, stepped in and says, just so we understand, his vetting was a ruse. What? Yeah, his vetting was a ruse. He was vetted to be a soldier to assist military operations in Afghanistan, but he was not suitable to be an immigrant into the United States interior.
That's a big distinction.
That's a very, very big difference. And in the process, we let in 80,000 in the initial surge of Operation Allies Welcome. Now we've got over 200,000 Afghanis here. We've got 18,000 of them that are known terrorists. 2,000 of them have admitted. These numbers are coming out. These are significant numbers. How many terrorists do you need to create havoc in America?
One.
I mean, 18,000. And then he went on and said, no, it's actually more than that. When you look on aggregate, just the ones that we know of. I'm like, oh my goodness. And instead of engaging with that, and here's my rub, and then I'll shut up. This would have been a great opportunity for America to see Republicans and Democrats unify on this issue. Can we all agree that this is a problem?
Yeah.
And it became a pitching point for the other guy's team. It's like, what's it going to take, people?
Yeah.
Really? Do we need another 9/11?
And let me be clear. I'm not. I didn't think Noam. I think she had to defend herself. I mean, I'm not. I was criticizing overall these hearings and what they've turned into. And we can debate and talk about. And I agree. It's more the Democrats that are turned into a shit show than Republicans. Check. I mean, I'm with you on that. I agree. I'm just saying it's disappointing that this is what it's turned into. Because it really what benefit is there?
Well, it's
the people
almost
that support are going to support the Democrats, and the people that support it doesn't move the needle.
But don't you think that the Democrats feel like they're safe in just changing all of the questions to the gotcha sound bites because they know that's all the mainstream media is going to report on? I mean, the mainstream media is so lazy, they just pull those sound bites out and use them, and that's all they really wanted it for.
Well, yeah, the media is the media. I mean,
but that's why they're doing it. The Dems, I'm talking about. That's why they say those things that have nothing to do with what the hearing is.
I think it's from that perspective. I think it's brilliant. From that perspective.
From whom?
From the perspective of media playing to the media, and media
that's
strategy.
all they're doing.
It's brilliant. You have a left-wing apparatus that has numbed down the average American's mind, where people can't think rationally. Yeah. You've addicted people to constant entertainment. People don't read anything. Yep. Nico always says, let me provide some context. Let me provide. I feel like it sounds like a broken record. I got to provide some context because no one cares about context anymore. They care about their particular soundbite that 100%. Matches the view of their particular tribe or silo.
Yep.
And so, but you're not going to find truth there. You're going to find deception, and where at the trail of deception, somebody always gets hurt. And so we always got to come back. Let's provide some context here. And so the Democrats know that that's the culture.
Yeah.
And they play to it. They put policies in place for decades that brought us to this point. They created this monster. And they know who they're playing to. And am I calling the average American voter a numbnuts? Yeah, I am.
That's why
and I would put myself in there for believing things I should never have believed before. That's where we are. And now it's going to take time to change that. But man, these guys, they know exactly who it is.
But we have short memories and we're ignorant. Ignorant meaning just not knowing. I'm ignorant to a lot of things. I don't know a lot of things. So I'm ignorant to certain things. So if you have the average person out there watching from the cheap seats that's maybe open-minded to whoever's tribe is going to benefit them more, you have short memories because I forgot that Biden did this. Oh, I forgot that so-and-so did this. Oh, I forgot about that. Then ignorant, not knowing, then they're going to make emotional decisions based off what's presented to them and how they perceive it. That's what's happening. And so if those are the rules of engagement, then we need to be effective in playing that world, in that arena, unfortunately.
How do you measure significance in today's media, though? It's significant because it's viral. The second it's not viral, it's not significant anymore. And so something is significant and may remain significant. It may be killing you right now, but just because the media is not focusing on it and everybody else is not virally streaming, it's still eating you alive. It's still a cancer. It's still killing you, but now you've moved on to the next shiny object. And I think that's a real danger.
Sure. How do you combat that then? I agree with you.
I'm with you.
We're
caught up. We're caught up now in the spiral.
I agree with you 100%.
How do you pull out of that?
The proof is Jasmine Crockett. You could be telling the truth. Get out of the way. There's something that's going to kill you in 5 seconds. And then suddenly Jasmine Crockett says, reparations. And then that's where the media focus is because that's what people want to see. And Sid on Facebook said, if it's not the length of a TikTok post, then people aren't interested.
But that goes back to George's, Sid, you're right, but that goes back to George's point about academia. I mean, we're trained that. We're trained not to be critical thinkers. We're trained to be addicted. These things are terrible. And even our generation has fallen for it too. I mean, I can't tell, and I fall for it too. You're at the urinal trying to take a leak and you start scrolling. What the fuck? Just take a leak? I mean, I do it myself. Because you're missing, I'm just being honest. I'm not going to bullshit anybody.
So finish that sentence. You're missing what?
What?
Or you're afraid to miss something.
The information, that fear of missing out. What am I missing? Or I'm trying to educate myself about something. Now, I'm not looking at gossip bullshit, but still, there's only so many hours in the day. And the bottom line is,
hear
people
ya.
need, people, including myself, we all need to put these stupid ass things
I
down
hear ya.
and go for a walk. Just go walk.
Too bad we're
Le-
addicted
leave
so
your-
hard.
Exactly. But then, so that's the reality we're in. Go for a fucking walk. That's it. That's what people need, is go walk. It's going to help you health-wise, clear your mind. You might be talking to somebody you're walking with, and we got to put these stupid things down. But
I
that's
like
what we're
picking
dealing
up a
with.
good history book because in reading that history book, because I love reading history because I like to appreciate how to. This guy, I knew this was, again. This sort of.
I love
George.
doing a great chemistry formula. What the what?
Well,
I love doing calculus.
Geometry is
All
my
right,
house.
can't wait to do some trigonometry to calm down.
I'm offended because I have nothing to say. I actually do like doing.
I know you do. You're a weirdo, but you're a smart weirdo. Go ahead.
Reaction, but aside from that, I think reading a good history. I was just simply going to say,
Yes.
people don't stop to think about how we got here, and a good history book is it's just good to contemplate. How the hell did I get here? How did this? Because that's the problem. We're moving always to the next object. We're detached from the past. We're detached from any semblance of history of how we got here. Hell, even if it's just 5 years ago, it's like people don't stop and think about how did things get to the point where they are right now, right? Because I mean, if you're detached from your past, your future is a mess.
George, when he suggests a book to read, but then follows by saying, "This one's a little dry," I save my money.
Ugh. Yeah.
I'm
There
like-
you go. The truth is,
That
truth-
means
the
that I
truth comes
better
out.
not get that one. I'll just ask him about it.
Well, let's try and look. I mean, Erica
it.
Kirk. I mean, speaking of conspiracy theories and short-term memories and instant
Botox?
gratification. I don't know if she has a Botox, but
Sure she does.
she's too young. She better not. I mean,
Sure she does.
But
Come on.
But this whole. I mean, look. The problem with. I don't know what you wanted to talk about this, especially George, about Erica Kirk deal, that she had to come out and. First of all, it's sad that she had to come out and say that just to stop.
It is embarrassing.
Well, I mean, it's just
for
sad.
Candace that
Well, I mean, look.
she had to do that.
Candace is a mixed bag for me. I think she's so talented. I think she's very misguided. I don't know if I'm not going to get in her head for her intent or whatever. I have so many questions. I have an analysis of this whole thing. If you want it,
I
I'm
do,
just.
I do.
I mean, I'm just saying. So I mean, we have a bunch of armchair forensic experts
I
out there,
do,
and
yeah.
everybody's an expert, and everybody understands the justice system, and everybody's addicted to information, and everybody wants it now, and nobody understands prosecutions, and no one understands putting a case together in defense work, and they want everything now, and if you don't act exactly the way I think you should act, when I think you should act it, then you're involved, and it's just a bunch of bullshit. Look, I have questions too. And not every one of Candace's questions are bad. They're not. It's not what she's asking, it's how she's asking it that my issue is. That's for me, in my situation. And so she pushes this just asking the question, but at some point the just asking the question narrative becomes planting conspiracy theories that you know may or may not be true. And then you're sowing division, and God hates that, right? Read Proverbs 6:16, Candace. Oh, that's all I'm saying. So you can ask questions, but it's not the question asking; it's how you ask. Here's the bottom line for me. I have questions. You have an individual that has been arrested. Allegedly, he made confessions to his parents and to some religious friend that had law enforcement connections. So we don't have. Has anybody seen those interviews? What did the parents say that he admitted to? That's a big deal. Now, doesn't mean he did it. He could have self-admitted something he didn't do. Okay, fine, I guess. And then this other guy, how did that go? And then they turned him in. Why did he walk in and turn himself in to do something he didn't do? Question you just have to ask. There's supposed to be DNA on that gun. Could it have been from another shooting? Yes. Was it recently shot? And again, there was a bullet found in Charlie's body. They're going to do tool and firearms analysis. There's a high probability, depending on the integrity of that bullet, the remaining bullet, to match that bullet to the barrel of that weapon. Yep. There's forensic fingerprints, so to speak, between guns, barrels, and bullets. And so you can do a wound path analysis of this is where the shot we know happened. Here's where he was sitting. Does it make sense? I mean, look, 30-06 causes more damage. I've shot with 30-06 and 270s. And if you don't have a lot of tissue for the bullet to expand, you can have a clear go through. Now, it didn't go through his neck because but it also hit his spine. And bullets do funny things forensically. I'll save that for the experts. It's going to be presented. They're seeking death on this kid. They're seeking death. If Mossad or the French government or Egypt or whoever else,
Israel.
Candace says Israel, well, Mossad's part of Israel to
Yeah.
me, but yeah, if all these people are involved in the death, fine. If there's evidence, show us the evidence. But if they are, and leaving this kid alive wouldn't have been smart. They should have killed him the same day, or not the next day, before he turned himself in, quote unquote. And then he supposedly admitted this shit to his furry boyfriend. Okay, well then how did that interview go? I want to know those interviews. I want to see the other text messages, not the staged text message. It seems like he's so conveniently inculpated himself and incriminated himself. Okay, well, if that's not the way he talks, there's probably a ton of other text messages with his furry boyfriend
But when you're
that you
saying
can
you
compare.
want to see it, you're not talking about you as a member of the
No,
public at
I'm
this
saying-
time. You're saying if you're an investigator, these are the questions that you would ask.
Look,
Got it.
when I was DA, when all these, I said, I'm not trying this case in the court of public opinion. I'm not. At the right time, you're going to see it in a court of law. If we plead the case out and the case gets resolved, then you do a FOIA request, open records, and you'll get all of it.
Okay, I just wanted to
That's
clarify
it.
to people who are listening. You're not, because I'm sure people are listening.
Right.
Yeah, Nico, you're right. I haven't seen any of that stuff either. Well, you're not supposed to see it. You're not talking in the sense
No.
that anybody should be able to see it. You're talking if you're doing your job well as an investigator. These are the types of questions you should be asking.
Yes.
These are the trails you should be going down.
And you explore
so
them.
forth. Yeah.
Yes, and then it's going to be presented in court of law. They're seeking death on this kid. So now everyone's involved. The Utah County District Attorney's Office the feds are not leading this prosecution. They're not. So
I didn't know that.
Cash's crooked
Wow.
eye, it doesn't matter right now.
Wow, I
So
did
so
not
so
know
screw that
that.
for now. It's the DA's office leading it. It's a state prosecution. It's not a federal prosecution. So, I mean, people need to relax and calm down. And everyone thought Frank Turk, the guy with the hat, and for sure he was involved. And that's a damn
was
Christian
so
apologist.
embarrassing.
I mean, that's Charlie's friend. He was FaceTiming and live streaming or whatever right before it
Oh,
happened.
he's a Christian apologist. He's definitely guilty then.
They went down. Look, if you look at a list of everyone she's accused, it's everyone, and it keeps changing. And maybe some of it's right. You know what? Maybe all of it's right. I don't know. But the way she's doing it is what bothers me. And she's actually hurting the conservative movement, in my opinion. And for her, I'm just asking questions. And she's good. She's good. She's very. She's a good. She's a good orator. She's articulate. She's persuasive. She can debate. She's got it. She's a quick thinker, so she can banter back and forth. That's why I kind of like sit back and I like her and Nick Fuentes going at it, because that some bitch has got his own little pizzazz, and let them go at each other and all that. So all I'm saying is I have more if you want to ask about evidence. I'll let George chime in there. But the fact that for her to accuse Turning Point and Erica,
She should have been doing this
Just
with
pause.
the Butler, Pennsylvania.
just pause a
shooting.
little bit, man.
Where Erica dealt with those charges in the public square about her and about people at Turning Point was in an interview with Harris Faulkner. That was in that interview. And then she had an interview with Barry Weiss from CBS News. By the way, CBS is really turning around under Barry Weiss, the chief
right,
editor.
right.
I mean, they're really doing some serious reporting. So good for them. I never thought I would say that again about CBS. But good for them. But here's what she said in response to Harris Faulkner's question about charges that somehow somebody on the team had something to do with his assassination. She says, well, I don't have time to address the noise. My silence doesn't mean that I am complacent. My silence doesn't mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We're busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We're all grieving in our own way, and they're trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They're trying so hard. And I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. We tell them, please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time. I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me. Call me names. I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole. Whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love and you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this? No. You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this, observed Faulkner. And she says, no, I'm very angry. She goes, but this is righteous anger because this is not okay.
Yeah,
it's
but-
not healthy. This is a mind virus. I do believe in our judicial system. I do. We have a hell of a team working on this. But this is not okay.
And Candace, in her, she turned it around and said, "Oh, this is from the people that made $140 million or whatever they made off Charlie selling shirts and off Charlie's death. Okay, you're going to tell me I can't make?" And it's a valid point. So both are valid. All I'm saying is this: is Erica should have done this a long time ago. She should have. She just said, look, we're not going to, that's absurd. Let me grieve. I will address it at the right time. That's it. And it should have done a long time ago.
But how are intimations that somehow people on Charlie Kirk's team may be in on it? How are intimations about that the same thing as using a tragic event to bring attention to the organization?
I'm not saying they are. What do you mean?
You're saying that Candace responded by saying what she said, and it doesn't.
No, I was talking about the criticism of her saying making hundreds and thousands of dollars on every episode. Then she, on that point alone, then she says, you guys made $140 million on that. So don't criticize me for making hundreds or thousands. Please, I can't make thousands. I can't criticize.
Wasn't their criticism.
I can't criticize your Turning Point family. Like for her to say, Erica didn't say it that way. She didn't say, you can't criticize my Turning Point family. She said, that's why I'm going to defend them. Criticize me, don't criticize them. Everybody's open for criticism to me. It doesn't matter. I just think the way she's doing it is not right. I don't agree with Candace the way she's doing it. She's not. I don't know how she's, look, if she's trying to expose this swamp, this ultras that has engulfed Trump and has engulfed everyone's wrong but Candace. She's the one, because she says so. She's having dreams, and she's having this. And Candace this, and she's trustworthy.
That's exactly how she's positioned.
When you have to say you're trustworthy, I have a problem with that. You're either trustworthy or not, because the fraudster says, hey, you can trust me. You know that, right? That's like, are you a cop? I mean, these people are, I can't stand when people do shit like that. So I try to listen to what Candace does when I can. And I was like, okay, good point. The way you're expressing it is not a good way. Good point, not a good way. That's the way my mind works. And I don't understand what Candace, her backing down from that debate. I thought it's happening on the 15th, I guess, or whatever it is. She was supposed to go in person, and she said, anytime, any place. We don't need lawyers. That's not the way I roll, and I'll go do. Okay, then go. You said you were gonna go, or say, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring either my staff, or I'm going to be live stream. I'm not going to be in person, but I'm going to be there. And now Turning Point's problem was 24 hours, I'm revoking this. No, bitch, just keep it until you know what, Candace? We're so serious about this. On the 14th, you can accept at the last minute. That's how much I want you here. You don't, I take it back for 24, that's weak.
I don't know what the 24-hour thing
That was stupid.
I think it was unnecessary.
It was just, so both sides are because they're getting emotional about this. Look, I don't know. Look, for me, as someone who's prosecuted cases, defended cases like this, the evidence is going to play out. You have an individual facing the death penalty. You have a defense team that's going to explore every bit of evidence and every conspiracy theory that could raise reasonable doubt to a jury. And then you have a state prosecutor that I guess is in on it too with the feds, since the feds are in on it, in with Egypt, in with Mossad, in with the French, in with all these. I don't know. Look, there's a lot of bullshits going on with countries, and a lot of espionage, and a lot of bullshit, and a lot of, it's all open. It's all possible for me. Is it probable? That's where I'm at. Yeah. Possible versus probable, and that's where evidence comes in to support your theory.
Yeah, the possible universe is infinite, technically. On the interview with CBS News, she was asked point blank about Candace.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so this is the one with Barry Weiss, and she said, what would Erica Kirk say to Candace Owens? As she the question leads, obviously, as she pushes conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And she said, stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop. And the point of the interview wasn't just about Candace Owens. It was she's trying to really push Charlie's book before he died. Stop in the name of God. Why observing or honoring the Sabbath will transform your life. That was the point. But then she brought up Candace Owens. And Candace did say, the only person who can tell me to stop, that I'll actually respect is Erica. If Erica tells me to stop, I stop.
Or her husband.
I thought to myself, okay, let's see what she does with this.
She's not going to stop because she's already responded to that. She's not stopping.
I know.
Look, but to me, Saulo loves the quote-unquote game, right? And so Nick Fuentes jumping in on this is interesting to me. I just know how these cases play out. Now, if this kid ends up dead in a cell somewhere, okay, got it. Now Candace has even more fodder to talk about. But if he doesn't end up dead in a cell somewhere, then this is all gonna play out in a court of law.
That's right.
And we're gonna see the conversations, and we're gonna see what he said to furry boyfriend, and we're gonna see what he admitted to his parents allegedly, and we're gonna see what he said to the minister friend of theirs, and we're gonna see it all. And we're going to see the tool and firearms analysis. We're going to see the wound path analysis expert. We're going to see the autopsy. We're going to see this. We're going to see all those things. Because forever they said there's no autopsy, which would have been a problem for me.
Yeah.
That would, but there's an autopsy, from what I understand. I haven't seen it, but there's been more than one verification, and we'll see it in the court of law that there's an autopsy. Okay, so now that was wrong. So what do we do with when all these people were wrong? It's like, who cares if I'm wrong? Let me just move on to the next one. It's like, hey, I made 100 free throws. No shit, but you shot 100,000. You're not that good. But it sounds good. I made 100 free throws. No shit. That's great. But not when you shot 100,000. So all I'm saying is there's no consequences to people that put out bullshit and then just move on to the next one. And then you have your presentation matters. Candace is good. You just got to acknowledge that. She's persuasive. I know you can't stand this guy. Nick Fuentes is effective. I mean, he spanked Pierce Morgan. What's his name? Morgan? The other day. I mean, and so them going at each other to me is entertainment. But everything's going to come out in the court of law. For me, the evidence should play out in a court of law, and then we'll see who's right. But if there is other people involved, if there was another country involved, if Israel was involved, if Egypt or France or where, of course I want to know about that. Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody should want to know about that. And if she was betrayed by all this other shit, I mean, look, there's some weird stuff that happened after. I got it, but I mean, I'm of the opinion that we wait and pause. We ask the questions, we ask them appropriately, and then we wait for the answer. And then at some point, if we get an answer that doesn't answer then you keep on.
Let the chips fall.
Yeah,
where they may.
Many online are just saying, sorry, Candace should have known better. Erica is a grieving widow. She should have shown her grace by not doing what she's doing. And that she did see the dollar signs. How
do you not say that Candace is not influenced by that? She's the top in one area, the top podcasting. Look, I mean, whether you like it or not, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking at the analytics. I mean, she gets 1.5 million views in within 14 hours of her releasing something.
That's right. I mean, this is
2 point something million within a day. Look, she's how is that not influencing her? And she's consumed with this. She's not talking about woke. I would love for her to use her same influence and her same skills against this Islamic push in this country as she does against Israel. I'm not saying don't criticize Israel. If they deserve criticism, criticize the shit out of them. I'm just saying I wish you would, an equal opportunity, criticize her. That's all. It's all about Charlie Kirk and Israel. And now Macron's husband-wife deal. I mean, it's been like that. I don't know. I mean, which she's a weird dude or guy or whatever the fuck. I mean, that's interesting.
It's just part of the system. I mean, you're getting more eyeballs, getting people to tune in, keeping the viral moment going. I mean, that's built into the system. You have to feed the beast. That's where she gets her validation monetarily. So how do you go after that and still get out there? You can't. It's in the system. So, I don't know.
Karen, what else? What do you have? We're going to wrap up in a second. Thanks, guys, for joining.
Everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
About, come on.
Come on.
Yeah, come on.
We talked last week. Maybe we can talk about it sometime because it keeps growing.
What?
The Somali Minnesotan fraud ring that we discussed last week to the tune of $1 to $2 billion now. Mm-hmm. There was a Fox News contributor, Mehek Cook, I think is her name. She's a lawyer and a Fox News contributor this week that showed up on Fox News Digital. And she said an interesting thing. She said, if you think that's bad in Somalia, she goes, you haven't seen anything yet. It's far worse in Ohio. What? Ohio apparently has the second largest Somali community, some 60,000 people, the vast majority of it. And she says, man, it's worse there. They've got a home health aid Medicaid scam going. And now the authorities are like, what?
You got to be able to criticize this ideology without being called names.
Out of control,
I'm
man.
telling you right now, that ideology is not conducive for a constitutional republic. It's just not. A truly militant, authentic Islamic ideology is not conducive with a constitutional republic.
And they come from cultures that don't give a shit about human rights.
They don't give a shit. Study Sharia law. There should be a national ban on Sharia law. National ban. I'm not going to ever change my opinion about that because I know what I'm talking about. National ban on it. And that is such a big part of the Hadith and the Islamic movement, whether you like it or not. And so all religions are not the same.
Yes.
Some suck. Some are not true, but they don't suck as bad. That's the bottom line. George and I can defend the authenticity and the objective truth behind the Christian faith. We can. Not because we feel it, Not because we shama and we speak in tongues or whatever the shit. It's because we have looked at the evidence, him as a scientist, me as a trial lawyer, our own journeys separately, and I want the truth. And then I got tested when my brother was murdered, and I pushed back, and I was angry at God, and I was angry at the concept of God, and so that was my journey in my faith. It came through pain. It wasn't through pleasure and, kumbaya bullshit. I can't stand kumbaya Christianity because it's not real. I like real, raw, R-rated, real, raw, redemptive faith. And that's what the Christian faith represents to me and what Christ's message does. But I am all in. There's nothing about the Christian faith that bothers me. There's nothing. There's stuff I may not understand, but I trust God's character and I trust his wisdom. Period, end of story. I'm not him. And so I submit to him, very much like Job. I came into this world naked. I'm going to leave this world naked. The Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's it. And I will defend that. I will defend that. And I believe and I know that this country is undergirded by a Judeo-Christian, a Christian ideology, which gives you the freedom, because God does, to say no to him. But it doesn't mean you're not going to be influenced. You're not going to be persuaded by a Christian ideology. And it's not Islamic in nature. Islam was not contemplated in setting up a constitutional republic. And so when you bring in these cultures that are theocratic in nature, Islamic theocracy coming in this nature with the culture and their hadith and their traditions and all the way they think of women and rights and all this other, and even homosexual rights and everything. It's not conducive it's just not. So are you welcome here? Yes. But do you have to assimilate? Yes. If not, they should leave. Yep. There's nothing controversial about that. It's no different than when I go into these people's houses that say, oh, you're this. And if I come into the house and I bring my conservative Christian ideas, you're going to tell me to get the fuck out. And you have that right because it's your house. Period, end of story. The United States is our home. And there's a set of ideas that undergird that. That's it. That's not crazy. Study it. And I wish that we'd have a national lesson. Just every station would carry it, and we do a presentation of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, what the ideas that undergird the Constitutional Convention. Talk about the letters between the founding fathers. Talk about the speeches. Talk about the advocacy. Talk about the considerations. We have it all there. It's all there, and then people can say, "I don't like it." Well, then leave or conform. I don't know what to tell you, but this is the way we do things here. This is our culture.
I think it makes sense to actually do a seminar at some point to actually do that, and then talk about Sharia and why Islamic law is in direct contravention.
But the most progressive person would be crushed under Sharia. The most progressive, pro-abortion, pro-LGBT, pro-open border, any they would be crushed by Sharia. I assure you. You have experiments. Go to these countries and see how your movement, your protest, see how your First Amendment protests, which turns into riots, see how your little riot/protests work out in a truly Sharia-run. They're not. See how many of these countries have 1,000 or hundreds of Islamic people doing their prayers in public, closing down streets. None of them do it. The only reason why they do it here is to exact control. Go to an Islamic country. They're not doing they're in their mosque doing their prayers or in their homes. They're not just doing them in the middle of the street, blocking roadways and blocking doorways and that. They're not doing that. Are they, George? No. It's a rhetorical question, but I'm just saying they're not doing it. So you have to ask why. Why in this country are they doing it? Because they can and because we put up with it.
And it's not new.
If I was in charge, I'd say, guys, move. Go do it somewhere else or go do it in an open field somewhere. Go. No, you don't want to move? We're moving you. It's that simple. And that's how you slowly but surely exact control, because that becomes the new norm. Oh, shit, we can't touch them. But the Christian praying outside an abortion clinic, we can prosecute them. Fuck that. Fuck that. I don't know how else to say it, but we put up with it. And we fight amongst Republicans and conservatives, and we criticize each other, and you're not Republican enough. Bitch, I don't even know what to say to you people, because we're going to lose. That's it. The bottom line, we're going to lose. Because we can't even get our shit together. All right, I'll stop my rant.
And we don't know history. This isn't new. I mean, it's happening here. It's in our face now. But this has been going on forever since the fall of the Ottoman Empire in 1922. the Islamic push into foreign societies, particularly Western societies, has been strategically incremental.
And the 100-year plan. Talk about that, George.
I love the idea of a seminar, though.
Strategically, people need to
that would be
understand this
good.
isn't new. This
Yeah.
is strategic. It's been incremental. You've seen society fall, fall one after the other, and there's stages to it. I mean, there's infiltration, there's consolidation of power, there's intimidation, and then there's open conflict with the society's leadership. This has been a systemic, a gerbil in the wheel deal, man. And what we're seeing in Minnesota is not confined to Minnesota. It's in Michigan.
Dearborn,
it's in New York.
Michigan.
It's here in Texas.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about. Think about this for a moment. You've got mosques that are going up to the tune of 48 mosques every 2 years. I mean, that's about the average right now. I mean, we got over 300.
And where
right
is
now.
the Christian church?
Right here,
Where,
right here in Texas. This is
and let
not-
me tell you, this is why I look. I haven't seen one pastor, not one, except for Ed Newton, talk about this. He's very bold and direct about Islam.
Yep.
He is, and he's the only one.
Because you need to talk more about.
He's
this.
the only
God-
one.
God
I haven't
bless
heard
him.
any of them. I mean, nobody else talks about it. I have not heard one other person talk about it.
He's at CBC, right?
Yeah, Ed Newton at CBC, and so that's just a fact. And I'm not saying he doesn't come out. He wouldn't say this from the pulpit. F them and all. No, but he talks about, look, that's not conducive. That's not real. That's not a true religion. Christianity, Yahweh is the only true God. I mean, he just talks and he educates. He talks about it, and there's this healthy resistance. It's a healthy, appropriate, educated resistance. So, I mean, we need to talk about that more. So, but we'll shut up. We're already at 10, almost 10:40, and with no commercials, so it's really longer.
And don't you love it?
Well.
There's a nice flow when you don't have to
When
take
you
a
have the
break.
commercials on these blocks.
That's
Well, I don't
okay.
know. Wait, Matt, over here, Mario? Straight here?
Let's do it.
Huh? All right, guys. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining us this weekend. Thanks for joining us even when we're not on the radio, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. We enjoy having these conversations, and again, share them with people that you think may benefit from them. We love to read your comments and try to respond back. But when you're debating with each other, I'm just going to suggest try to be professional about it, or whatever, so they can be productive. But you do what you want. It's a free country. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.